Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Hall. Welcome back, Andrew and Adam. It is all done, completed in the books for another year. Let's turn that brightness down of the iPad so I don't look like I've got a spotlight on me. It is all in the books. The 2026 NFL Draft coming from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. A record attendance, smashed again. Detroit did it. Green Bay did it last year. Detroit the year before that, I believe. Pittsburgh this year. We'll see what Washington has to say when it ends up in Washington, D.C. in 2027. Very, very exciting few days. I tried to watch as much as I could / keep it up as much as I could. I know that you two both watched quite intently over the 3 days. I hope everybody all enjoyed it. I'm sure you're either very, very happy with what your teams did or very, I suppose, unhappy with what your teams did. I don't know. Maybe put a comment on this video about how you feel your teams did. But a lot of fun. Some iconic moments. Mark Ingram getting his kid to say Steelers still suck. That was up there. That was very, very funny. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the package they did before the Steelers made their pick. That was like a new addition, I felt like.
What was that?
The little fanfare, like intro thing to announce the first pick for the Steelers. You know, they did a little party before they came onto the stage. And,
was that when I said, why have we got a concert going on?
Yeah.
Well, they played Renegade, which is always played in the start of the fourth quarter by
right.
Sticks obviously intro that's who came on the screen. They did have a ban of it. Said it was them. A new format, new layout this year. Slightly new layout, I suppose, in terms of the timing. So it went from 10 minutes to 7. Am I correct?
Yeah, previously it was at 15 minutes as well, wasn't it?
15.
Wasn't it 8? No?
I think it was 8. They brought it down to 8.
Yeah, it went. First round was 8 minutes. Second round was 7 minutes, wasn't it? But that was. It's always been 7, hasn't it, for the second and third?
Yeah.
Round? So yeah, that was fine.
I mean, I did not stay up and watch it because I said I'm not feeling overly well. I'm not overly well now. And I just didn't think it'd be wise for me to stay up and watch it. But I got up straight away in the morning, didn't check my phone, didn't check anything up until, I texted Andrew giving him blow by blow of the picks I was doing because I knew that he wouldn't say anything and I didn't trust other people within our group chats not to say something. So we spoke personally about it. And, afterwards, me and Adam chatted about it because I said, I've done it now. I've completed it. It's all finished and everything. And we noted because of the time change, boy, did it fly.
Yeah, it went really, really quick. And prior to the draft actually happening, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about how good it is that they brought the minutes down and how well it's going to go. And if this is the trend going, it'll be 5 minutes next year and all that. And then it went so quick and they couldn't keep up with it. And for me, it kind of spoilt it a little bit. I'm sure Adam will have some points to make, but there is one big point I will make that was really ruining it for me. So I felt like it was too quick.
So I think
to also add on top of that, the total time, because I obviously watched it the next day and had it, the total time was 3 hours, 45 minutes, including ad breaks.
Yeah. So I think it's doable. I think where the problem comes in is that the TV companies want to interview the players that are there. Mm-hmm. And they want to bring them out on stage and they want to do the little interview, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. They've done that for years. The problem is that once you start doing that, obviously that takes time. And if you've literally got, if someone makes the pick and the next team is literally right on the clock straight away, you've got 8 minutes and they're not even leaving the room, and you've got 8 minutes. So it's like, it's incredibly tight. You end up with, so I ended up just going, I literally just had WhatsApp on my phone and that was it, because I was getting notifications from so many different sort of NFL insiders and Sleeper and companies like that were just telling me what the pick was before it had come up on the television. So I literally just went onto WhatsApp where we were talking about it, and that was kind of the end of it. So it works out if you do that. But if you don't do that, you're getting it all through on your phone way before. And they reached a point where they were quite a long way ahead. They must have been about 2 or 3 picks ahead. And
it was the start of the top of the first round. It was pick 7. I think it was the Washington picks in.
Yeah.
And they announced the pick. I think Sonny Styles comes onto the stage. And as that happened, you saw Saints picks in, Browns picks in.
Brown.
Picks in. And I said to Adam, because like in between, I'm just having a little scroll on Instagram. I'm not trying to find who's been picked. And I went, oh, great. I texted Adam and went, well, according to Instagram, Browns are taking Fano and Giants are taking Maui Noah. So if they start coming in, Sonny Styles is on the stage and I already know what pick 10 is. And I was just like, that's spoilt it a little bit.
Completely spoiled it.
Because I literally couldn't go on Instagram.
Yeah.
What was I think the Dolphins saved it.
Yeah.
A little bit, because the Dolphins took the full 8 minutes to trade their pick away and then took the full 8 minutes to make their pick. And I think by doing that, it kind of brought it back, and it brought it back to a point. But even then, further down the line, you ended up again where picks had already been made and you were waiting. Like I say, I think there's nothing wrong with doing 8 minutes. I think that's fine. You have to adjust how you're going to do the TV coverage, though, and having the interviews, I think, is a big problem.
They also noticing it from doing it full the next day without go, because I didn't want to go on my phone because I didn't want to be able to see him. So I pretty much did the whole 3 hours, 45 minutes, only really texting my partner and Andrew, and that was it. That's pretty level pegging there. Andrew and my partner, that's she knows that as well, don't worry about it. But because I wasn't on my phone, I noticed the ads were really back-ended. It was like pick 20. That's when they started. It would be like 2-3 picks, add 2-3 picks, add 2 picks, add 2 picks, add. And I don't mind ads. I don't mind it. And like you said, when you're watching it live and you're on your phone, it's fine, because but you sometimes you get a spoiler every now and then, but you tend to be good. And the 2 things that really stuck out to me: the complete lack of jeopardy with trading picks. It became catching up with it. It didn't become instant. It didn't become, oh my gosh, they've just traded it away. It was, we're interviewing Sonny Styles, 2 picks. There's been a trade, and it was like, what? Like, when's that trade? And I felt like there was no emphasis on what was in that trade, what's been traded.
No,
there was no emphasis on that.
Yeah.
And my second one is, and I feel bad for them, because I generally like Rich Eisen a lot. I generally like all his podcasts. I like his show. I'm a very big Rich Eisen fan. I can take or leave Daniel Jeremiah, big Joel Klatt guy. Charles Davis, I don't really listen to much of whatever he's doing. But them 4 tend to do a pretty darn good job of the whole breakdown of it, of the excitement of it as well. And you could tell, and they were even sort of joking about it.
Yeah.
They were a bit like, we don't know what's going on. This is too, you could tell they were losing control of it. And for 4 experienced guys like that to be losing control of it, you can tell they were ill prepared for it as well. But there was things not going wrong, because it was essentially going completely right, wasn't it, in the NFL way?
Well, I suppose the thing you've got with that is, if I know 3 picks in advance who the Giants have got, they also must know already. And they're going, oh, so who do you think they'll take with this pick? Oh, and you're going, you know who they've taken. Like,
there was a few later on that were very obvious with Daniel.
Yeah, why are you trying to make it a bit of jeopardy, or will it be him?
Yeah.
You already know. And it's almost like, well, are you giving me analysis? Are you giving me, like, you're just hearing and saying then? And I think that takes away a lot from it as well, because I do love listening to the breakdown that they talk about, what their thoughts, what they think should happen and stuff like that. So I think it took a little bit of that away from it as well with me. I also think that there should be more attendees at it. I think there was only 16 there this time, wasn't there? And I think I like it when there's more and they're all coming out and there's a bit of jeopardy of people not being picked.
But I think the problem is, if you have more attendees, you can't have 8 minutes. This is what I mean. It makes it even
be a show, doesn't it?
It's really going to be about what it is they want it to be moving forward.
Because don't get me wrong, we are a little bit watching it for the oh wow moments. You know, we got it quite early with Carnell, with Jeremiah Love and Carnell Tate.
Yeah.
For some people, that was an oh wow, they've gone that direction moment, and we just got like really less and less and less of that. The more like I think the next wow moment was sort of, well, Ty Simpson maybe, and then after that, there was one or two where I went, oh, that's different. You know, but unfortunately, there is a little bit of a culture now where we do watch it where we want to have the old wow moments. And
do you not think that the reason behind that is just purely the quality of the players that were in the draft this year? I mean, to me, it felt like the ones, because the three you've just mentioned are all sort of like offensive guys who you kind of hope are going to be, you know, decent in the NFL. Whereas, and you know, do you get excited for the offensive tackle? You know, it's a little bit like, I think sometimes it can be a bit like that, and also just the quality and whereas
don't get me wrong, when it's quarterback loaded, it's way more fun. Of course,
and I think that's the thing.
Of course it is. It's going to be, and that is a bit of indicative of what this draft class was, which was and. To be frank, I've said it like personally to you two quite a bit and to others within the franchise tag. It hasn't done it for me this year. It's just not. I've not been as invested. I've been a bit busier socially and with work. So I've not given that much time to the draft this year, even though other years I'm mocking in like January, February, March. I've had a bit of a change of jobs that, you know, that changes up. But like, you know, that's what, but in the wider scope of NFL fans in the UK and worldwide, if the class isn't doing it for you, I do think you just generally go like, I can take or leave it. Like I want to see how my team does, and the first round,
but I think that's quite interesting coming from you, because I would say exactly the same thing. And yeah, I've done the show, and you know, we've done the draft show and all of that, and we've gone through it all and gone through the top 10s and done all of that. But I felt exactly the same. Like I felt like it wasn't a particularly great class this year. I wasn't overly bothered about it. You know, I watched round 1, 2, and 3 all the way through, but day 3 I saw bits of it, and I saw certain players go, but I didn't watch anywhere near as much as what I had done in previous years, and that's just because I felt like the class wasn't that great. But
I was obviously a lot different. I was really excited for this one. I think the air of unknown with this one, we kind of know where pick 1 was, and we didn't have a clue what the rest of it was. I thought was exciting, and as someone who watches college football, and not, you know, I was excited to see where the players that I'd followed landed. So it didn't matter whether they were edges, cornerbacks, whether they're blue chip or not. I just wanted to go, I've watched this player, I thought he was great, where's he going to go? So I was still excited about this draft, and I was excited through 3 rounds of it, and then it sort of tailed off a bit for me after that. But
I was going to say, I think that makes sense for the first round, and actually for most of the second round as well. But once you get past that, it kind of felt like that excitement really did sort of dissipate.
Well, let's go on to the exciting things of the draft. I mean, we've had players go to different places. We've had teams go in different directions with this draft. And ultimately, there's going to be a lot of media out there of grading teams or et cetera and stuff like that. But we're just going to say sort of some teams or players that we like the fit, we like where they've gone, and we like what's going on. We like the mindset of it. So, I mean, it's your guys to pull to the table. What really struck you once it was all said and done about the draft?
I think one of the key things that me and Adam spoke about while it was on was, and I think Adam will probably chime in on this one, was you could clearly see which teams had good GMs and head coaches picking and which teams didn't, because there was, with this draft as well, there was pick for need or pick for value. So I think when you're talking about this, and I'll talk about my own team, I feel like the Giants really, really picked for value. And that shows you their mindset of we don't need an edge rusher, but we're going to take one. He's the best value. You can never have enough. You know, the wide receiver might be there later on in the draft, but we're going to take an offensive lineman because he's the best offensive lineman on the board and we're going to take him. So I think there was some teams that were really, really sensible, and I will highlight the Giants as one of them, of picking value in this draft. So I think that was a big set for me.
It did feel really strange at the very beginning of the draft, and I think that's kind of where Andrew's sort of talking it. So, like, I mean, I've kind of been a big sort of advocate for David Bailey. I think he's a really good edge rusher and that he'll do really well in the NFL. He's not Arvell Reese. That's kind of how I would look at it. And so you sort of think to yourself, okay, well, the Jets are at number 2. Well, that kind of felt like not a completely stupid move to make, but I just kind of felt like Reese was the player, the one that kind of made most sense. You get a lot of people who are sort of like close to the Jets were coming out and saying that they felt that Reese made a lot more sense for them rather than what David Bailey was. Then you have the Cardinals at 3, who just go and take Jeremiah Love, which is, again, you just sort of think, okay, so you've just given up on Arvell Reese as well. You've taken Jeremiah Love, a running back. You've got 3 running backs already. You know, you've got James Conner, Trey Benson. You've just brought in Tyler Algier. What's the logic of this then? You know, where's the theory behind this? Because your defense needs help. Your O-line needs help. And yet you've decided to go and do that. Okay, that's odd. Tennessee Titans 4, Carnell Tate. Yeah, okay, it's not as egregious as what the Cardinals have done, but at the same time, you know, you've given up someone like Reese, who you kind of feel like surely a head coach like Robert Saleh would love him. You know, that just makes sense, and it feels weird. And you've gone and taken a wide receiver. Why?
Sorry. So you're more saying that for the Giants, Reese fell into their lap.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Absolutely. Because actually, when you think about it, it's the one position they don't need. Like, and yet they did the complete opposite to what them other ones did in a way, where they went, well, we've got loads of this position, but we're still going to take him because he's the best player. Whereas for the others have kind of gone, well, he's the best player, we think he's the best player
but
there.
We don't need him.
But we don't need him.
We need a wide receiver. So they picked need over value.
It's very peculiar, and it kind of just felt a little bit like, okay, that's just a really weird thing to do. And so, and it was something that you were saying, Fred, last week when we were doing the draft, you know, the mock draft for it, and you come out and go, some of these organizations that have made bad decisions all like for years wouldn't be a shocker if they make a shocking decision again. And you sort of think to yourself, not so much the Jets, but they are kind of included in this. But the Cardinals and the Titans are 2 teams that have made shocking decisions over the years. And it just kind of felt a little bit like they went and did it again.
I mean, this was meant to be the positive section, and I feel like we've just gone negative.
Well, I give you the positive, didn't I? Mine was, you know, Adam just give you the flip side. Mine was there were some teams in here. I think that the Chiefs, let's go back to what I was saying. I think the Chiefs had what an absolutely sensational offseason, including this draft. So they've gone, what do we need? Where's the value? Well, we need cornerback. We need edge. We need running back. So they go out and get the best running back in free agency. They trade up to get the best cornerback in this draft. And then, you know, what they take Peter Woods, who's the best defensive tackle in this draft. They've come away with players that are the best at their position and a need for them as well. They addressed edge rusher a little bit later on, didn't they? With a player I really liked. Let me just get that. Mason Thomas. I had him as a round one in my mock draft 1. I had him as a round 1 in my my final mock draft. I think he slipped under the radar, and he's got real high potential day 1 starter for them if they wanted him to be. So for me, Cardinals, another organization making really sensible picks for them, getting arguably, like I say, best cornerback, best defensive interior, and an extremely talented edge rushers, all areas that they needed and got value at. So there's another team for me that picked value and picked well.
You said Cardinals, then, but you meant the Chiefs.
Chiefs, sorry, Chiefs.
Yeah, no, it's okay. That's all good. Well, off air, Adam said about I just don't really understand why the Chiefs went up and traded up when they probably could have stuck at 9. My argument would be, look, Kansas City Chiefs we are going nowhere near being in the top 20 picks for the next 4 years, hopefully. While we're here, let's just not take any risks. Let's not mess around. There was rumors that the Saints were really keen on Mansour Delane. A team could have traded up to them picks as well with it would have been Washington or
New Orleans,
Miami.
No, that was it. It was just Washington.
No, they traded
and
with the Cleveland Browns, didn't they? Sorry, apologies.
Yeah.
So the Browns could have gone and traded with somebody else. Washington or the Saints could have traded with somebody else and got some value there. The Chiefs have gone, we're never going to be at 9 for the next 3 to 5 years, we'd like to think. Let's just go up to 6 and get him. And we've got that back end, and we'll see what happens with it. And actually, for them, I can imagine the building they went, Pete Woods just fell into our lap, who, for people who don't know, Pete Woods at the start of the 25 season was seen as a potential number 1 pick, wasn't he?
Only 5 months ago he was a top 5 pick. Only 3 months ago he was a top 10 pick. And then, the Chiefs somehow managed to get him at the back end of the first. I do believe, I said it on the draft show, it was Clemson's down season, not Peter Wood's bad season. So they've been real sensible with that. Controversial for you when we're talking about good teams here. I feel like this is the second back-to-back good draft that the Browns have had. I think Browns drafted very well last year.
I was going to say that. I think the Browns have done a tremendous job this draft. And like you said, it's worrying for me as a Steeler that they seem to be having consistently quite good drafts of recent.
Yeah. They had a great draft last year, and I really like Fano, very, very sensible pick at that. Yeah. Then they addressed their biggest need at wide receiver by taking two very highly rated wide receivers, two very different style of wide receiver, and they had nothing. And then taking Emmanuel McNeil-Warren as well for that on that defense, which is a talented defense already. This just screams to me that they have set themselves up perfectly for next year. In terms of, you can roll with Shedeur Sanders, you can see what he does, you can sell some shirts, you can have a bit of fun. But next year, you've got the tackle, the weapons for him, and your defense will be good. So if they pick a quarterback next year, I think he's coming into a good situation. We often say that rookie quarterbacks come into a bad situation. Well, he's going to come into a team with a running back, wide receivers, tight end, really, really high upside, and Fano, who could be their starting tackle. So I think Browns have had 2 back-to-back good drafts.
Can I push back ever so slightly on that?
Go on.
I think if you have got 4 picks in the top 58, I think you and I could have a good go at it.
I mean, yeah, but
that's all I'm saying.
It's make good picks, though, Adam.
Yeah, it's all well and good saying they've had a good draft, but if you've got that sort of ammunition, you should have a good draft.
Would we be
that's
sitting
all
there
I'm
saying
saying.
that if they'd gone Ty Simpson, I don't know, like.
But why would no? Absolutely. I mean, but what I'm saying is, I don't think you can necessarily come out and say that what they've done is great, considering it's. To me, I feel like they were obvious picks.
Yeah,
like, we all could have, like I say, if put us in charge of it, we could have done that.
Do you not think though they've nailed the criteria to set up for future though?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think, but I'm just saying there's a limit. That's why I said I just wanted to push back a little bit. I'm just saying it's like, let's not get too excited about the fact that they've picked 4 starters when in the top 58 they should have picked 4 starters.
Do you think? To help them, though, haven't they? It's not, they could have picked Sadiq when they've already got Fannin. They could have picked Love when they've already got Judkins. I know they couldn't have got those players, but those positions, but they could have made the wrong choices.
Yeah, but do you not think they're obvious moves?
Adam, this was a point that I heard on another podcast earlier today, and I actually came away from it thinking that's actually really, really smart. Is that because of people say it's not as an exciting draft class, it's not as deep with talent, etc., is that some teams went out there and just went, we're not looking to retool, we're just looking to make as much depth as possible. So you look at someone like the Chargers, who took out of their 8 picks, they took 4 offensive linemen. Half their draft was offensive linemen. And yes, they had both their tackles injured last year, but their offensive line with them tackles is really good. And what they've gone is, right, we're not going to go get a star in this draft, but what we'll do is we'll just completely solidify depth in something that is very much needed in terms of your trenches. Some teams have done that, and do you think that's a wise decision to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, for them, obviously the big issue was the O-line, wasn't it? So it kind of felt like it was obvious that they were going to go down that route. I mean,
there's also, as well, sorry to add, they also went defensive tackle and edge. So 6 of their 8 picks were the trenches.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, that wasn't, considering the team, it's not a massive shocker that was kind of where they were going, because that's sort of what they do, isn't it? It's like, I agree with you. I think that this draft was all about being able to pick up 3 or 4 starters. I think that was kind of what this draft was all about for every team out there. It was all about trying to pick up 3 or 4 starters, and if you can add depth to certain positions, then great. But unfortunately, I think you kind of had to go down that route, because it was sort of like the sort of depth just wasn't there. But I think this is kind of what we were saying about some of these other teams then that sort of at the beginning that kind of made these decisions, like the Cardinals and the Titans, to sort of go for the sort of flashy pick. It feels like they've let themselves down because they haven't been able to get the depth from other things, and it's just like, it's all right having that one guy, but it's not going to save your team. What's going to happen is you're probably both going to be in the same, roughly around the same position next year as you were this year.
Can we have a little word on the Dallas Cowboys and both of your opinions on their drafts as well? Because they took Caleb Downs, who for some people is the best player in this draft.
It's absolutely disgusting that he managed to make it all the way to Dallas, honestly.
I told you.
The Giants let themselves down big time.
I said that. I said he wouldn't go in the top 10. It's still positional value. It's still positional value for the safety. But their draft, I think they had a really good draft, to be honest with you. Not just Caleb Downs. I think they sought out what they needed to do, which was getting edge help. Malachi Lawrence, Jay-Sean Barham, and LT Overton do that for them. They've got a superstar in Caleb Downs. They get a bit of offensive line help, which they constantly need a little bit of depth there, I feel like. And then they've done a bit of a luxury pick in Anthony Smith at wide receiver in the 7th round. Devin Moore from Florida at cornerback in the 4th. They didn't have a 2nd round pick. I can't remember whether they traded out of that or not. I think when we're looking around players and where they went, Caleb Downs, I mean, for him and his future, he's gone from biggest college program in the country in Ohio State to the biggest brand in NFL football. He's going to his face is going to be the face of the NFL, isn't he?
For me, I felt like the Caleb Downs pick was great. The fact that they got him when they got him worked out really well for them. Malachi Lawrence, I thought, I mean, it's a solid pick. I think that he'll be a decent edge rusher for them. LT Overton at the position where they got him, I thought it was worth it. The rest of them, I think they're solid guys. There's nothing spectacular there, but they're solid, and I think to a certain extent that actually maybe is what the Cowboys need for a change.
I really rate the Caleb Downs pick. I think of round 1, that steal of round one for me. I'd probably spoil some stats for later, but I think of round one, that is the steal of round one, them getting Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
I think the Malachi Lawrence was a reach on him. I think he was second round all day long. I think they think he was a second round pick, but I think that's just the guy that they wanted. You know, I think, you know, a lot more people had Falk and Parker above Lawrence maybe, but that's personal preference really. I think when you look at it as a package and maybe take it away from the draft, they got rid of Parsons and they turned Parsons into Downs, Lawrence, Williams, Gary. Who else did they bring in? So, you know, that D-line and the money they've spent that they were going to give him has turned into 5 very talented defenders. So I think when you look at it that way, I think that's great for the Cowboys. Outside of Downs and the steal of maybe Overton later, because we were all quite high on him, I'm not really that fussed on anything in between. I just think it was fine. But yeah, the Downs makes their one, pushes it higher in terms of grade, if you like. There's one team, before we move off of good teams, there is one team I think Adam should bring up. We're not going to talk about them because they're not in round one, but we both feel like they had a very sneaky good draft with what they had to play with.
Can I guess?
You can.
Is it the Indianapolis Colts?
It is.
8 picks. What do you say? 8 picks, and 6 of them I think are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, so no round one pick at all. First pick was number 53, where they took CJ Allen. We liked him. We think he's a really good linebacker. He was kind of getting mocked a little bit in the first round sometimes, but then sort of fell away towards the end. But at 53, I thought was great. AJ Halsey, safety at 78. I thought that was a great pick to get that. For us, we had him down as a second round all the way, and they got him in the third. Jalen Farmer's a solid offensive guard that will help them and help their run game. And then they had a couple of picks in the middle where I don't really know them that well. But then in the last 2 rounds, they took Caden Curry. Yeah, the Ohio State edge rusher, who really liked the look of him. And then in the 7th round, they took Seth McGowan and Dion Burks, running back and wide receiver. And yeah, I mean, Dion Burks, I think, was he the one who was number 70 in Daniel Jeremiah's list or something? He had him as like way
he
high.
Was going to be a day 2 pick.
Yeah, way higher. And I don't know why, but he's fallen to numbers to round 7. But he's kind of got the he kind of has the body sort of type that kind of feels like he'll replace Alec Pierce quite well. And Seth McGowan again. We spoke about Seth McGowan in the running back show that in the top 10s. We didn't have him in the top 10, but we said that,
issues, didn't we?
Yeah, a lot of what he did was really good, and the talent was there, but he had a lot of off-field problems. And if he can sort himself out, then he could be very good. So again, another really good one. And this is kind of what I mean when I talk about the Browns. And I'm sorry, they've got all them high picks. You're going to pick good players. This is a draft here from the Colts where, like I say, 6 out of them 8 picks we were quite happy with and thought that you've got starters there who can really make a difference. They didn't have a single first round pick, and only 2 of them were on day 2 as well. So I think they did really well, and it's not really being spoken about that much because they didn't have that sort of, none of them are flashy kind of picks, but they didn't have that star round 1 pick.
Let's stick on you, Adam, because the negativity, the dark side of the force is now permeating through the franchise tag, because I can imagine you're going to now rip to shreds a couple of teams' drafts or players that you think should be nowhere near where they were drafted. You always got a pocket full of.
I know exactly where he'll go.
Do you?
Yeah, well, Well, I was looking at it, and I was looking about colleges and schools and everything that was picked, and was looking like, oh yeah, there's not been many SEC players picked in the top 15 of this draft, and the one player that was picked from the SEC in the top 15, Adam has him down as his bust. So I think that that might indicate where I think he might go, where they didn't pick correctly.
So, yeah, I mean, Miami had a lot of picks. Miami did have a lot of picks, but I didn't think they had that bad a draft, really, to be honest.
It's just that one pick I thought you would have
that one pick, the Caden Proctor pick, I do think has got a kind of disaster written all over it. But I like Chris Johnson.
I would point out that his mentor is JC Latham, who's not.
I don't care. He's too big. Like
to play
I really like the Chris Johnson pick. I think it's good. Jacob Rodriguez, I think, was good. Chris Bell, I thought was a really nice pick in round 3. I'm not, quite a fan of Kyle Lewis. I think he looks decent. They had some decent picks in there. I don't think they really did anything fantastic, but I think that they had some decent picks in there. When I look at a draft, as in like what a whole team's done, I really, really struggle to understand what the 49ers are ever doing. And
go on.
So I know that you were you're a fan of Stribling, and you.
I was a massive fan of him as a later round pick.
But the first pick on the second day just kind of felt like, what are you doing? That's mental. He went ahead of so many wide receivers that were decent. Romello Height. Now, we spoke about him a lot because he was with David Bailey, wasn't he? And I just, again, he's all right, but it's just a little bit like, he's not bad as a round 3 pick, I suppose. It's not too. Kalen Black as the 3rd running back off the board in round 3.
Crazy.
Now, whenever I saw Indiana, I must admit, I thought Black looked all right, but round 3, really? Like, this guy just, and there were so many others you could have gone for. That felt weird. I would
say that San Francisco have a pretty good track record with their running backs, though, is the only thing.
Do they?
San Francisco, they literally plug in and play, and that running back's amazing every time.
I would argue
it's system potentially.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine if you want to go down that route. Why are you taking one in round 3 then?
I can't answer that question.
Okay. And then after that, the rest of them, I just don't really know. I don't know enough about them. And I was just a little bit like, I don't know who any of these guys are. And they were all day 3 picks. Although I have to say, Presoc's name is brilliant. I couldn't even begin to try and pronounce the first one, but what a name.
I think it's pronounced Ephesians.
Okay. Ephesians Presoc. That's a great name. Yeah. So he deserves to be drafted. I'll give him that. But yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know who's in charge of it. I feel like
it's Shanahan, isn't it?
That's what it feels like sometimes.
When you look at the Chiefs one, Veach is making the picks, isn't he? And Reed's helping him, and you look at Les Snead's making picks, and
well, we know Les Snead makes the picks now.
John Lynch making picks and things like that. But when you John Lynch, I was trying for the Seahawks guy then, but no, John Lynch at the 49ers is not. Yeah. It's Shanahan making the picks, and we've seen this in how many years now, where he reaches every year on a wide receiver because they don't have a wide receiver that's any good. So they reach on Pearsall, they reach on Stribling. Nothing against the talent. Pearsall's a very good wide receiver, but was he as good as where they picked him? Stribling, again, I was high on him. Bounced around a few schools, but no one had him as basically a round 1 pick. That essentially isn't. But like the player, but that I think it's a reach. Was anybody taking him prior to their next pick? I don't know. So yeah, I think the problem they've got there is the head coach is making the picks, not the GM, and the head coach is going to pick for need rather than value as well. I think that's the problem you have when head coaches make picks.
Let's stick on a little bit of a topic that you're saying there, because it's been either liked or severely disliked, is the Ty Simpson pick by the Rams at 13. Where do you two sit on that? Like, Andrew, you I know what you I know. I feel like I know what you feel, Andrew, which is, yes, it makes complete sense, but you're in win now. Like, right, I get it, but
I felt the whole of the Rams draft doesn't help them in 2026 at all. You know, they're very much 2026. We're going to win. We need to win the Super Bowl. We are the favorites. So let's take a backup quarterback that we won't play for 2026 at all. And let's take a tight end with our next pick, who's the replacement to Higbee when Higbee's done. I love Max Clare, but and then let's take a tackle a little bit later on, because, you know, we'll need them in the future as well. I just don't think you've really gone, I want to win this year. What can I do to win this year, and pick those players? Instead, they're looking to build for, you know, what's Tyson. We're talking about Ty Simpson mainly here. He's with Stafford signed a new contract. He's probably got 2 to 3 years left in him. So Ty Simpson's not going to come in till year 4. We don't know if he's really any good. We haven't really seen much of him. You know, he was a backup to Jalen Milroe, to Bryce Young, to some people that are already in the NFL, but we don't know Ty Simpson's good. And I've heard this narrative, and Adam has said it. Oh, it's the Packers ethos. It's what the Packers do. No, it's not what the Packers do, because the Packers picked a quarterback at 24, 26, back end of the first, that had really, really high upside in traits. You know, he had that big arm, he had the mobility, you know, the traits were there, and they thought, let's get this player in and develop him. Ty Simpson's not a traits guy. He's undersized. His arm's not fantastic. He's just a good player that had a good season. You know, he got banged up at the back end of the year as well. And it's pick 13. So if they'd done this at the back of the first, I go, fair enough. Yeah, you're going for the future. I understand that. That's fine. But to take him at 13, I think that's a bit rich. And I was confused by it. So I'm out on their complete draft. I think it's a lot of nice players for the future. So they're going to be around for a while. But if you're in win now and you want to win 2026, let's get some weapons and some pieces. You know, why not? We've just seen the Giants do. Take another edge rusher, take a D tackle. You know, you're never going to have too many of them.
I mean, most Malachi Lemon was the one. I keep calling him Malachi Lemon, and we keep calling Ty Simpson Trey Simpson's Ty Simpson, Malachi Lemon. That was the one that everyone was frequently mocking to it. And yeah, I agree. Like, I think you could have moved down and got him. Got picks for the future, potentially got a player to play now to put you over over the hump now, because they are in win mode now, aren't they, Adam?
Yeah, absolutely, they're in win mode. I think the other thing about that is that they didn't have many picks. You know, when you actually look at it, they didn't have a lot of picks. I don't know who was gonna come and take him. I mean, I suppose you could argue the Jets might have done it. At 16, I suppose that would have been the argument as to why you take him at 13 and just take your guy. But I felt like the Rams were in a position where they could have sort of gambled a little bit, because at the end of the day, if they didn't take him, would it have actually been that bad for them? You know, would it have been the end of the world? It's a difficult one when it comes to quarterbacks, isn't it? Because there is an element of, I'll just take your guy, but I just feel like it's a guy who, like, I liked him. I liked him for his season that he had at Alabama. I thought he did well, but I had him as a second round grade. I could understand why a team would come up in the second round to get the 5th year and have him at the back of the first. I could completely understand that. But to take him as like to basically just go, we don't care, we're taking our guy, this is it, and not even try and trade back a little bit and try and push it a bit and maybe get a few more picks, because I think, was it like 5 picks they had? Like it just kind of felt like they could have done that, and they could have sort of got themselves a bit more out of this draft by doing it. And do I see him being the guy in, say, like, you know, I assume the argument is that they're going to do a sort of like a Green Bay Jordan Love style thing where Matthew Stafford will play for at least the next 2 seasons and Simpson will learn and develop and then come in after. I just don't know if I see him having that sort of skill set to be able to be incredibly successful at the NFL, which is why I always comped him to Mac Jones, and it kind of feels like that's what he's going to be.
Yeah, I also think if you're the Rams, what did you do last time? You had Jared Goff, and you went, no, we want to win.
Yeah.
So you traded him away and got Matthew Stafford. So there's no reason when Stafford's going, I've done my 2 years now, I think I'm ready to go. Guys, start looking elsewhere. Maybe there'll be a Mac Jones on the board. Maybe there'll be.
But that's been the rumor, hasn't it? Is that they'd go all out for Joe Burrow.
Well, yeah.
But I to be honest with you, after the offseason the Bengals have had with what they've done, they might win the AFC North. They might go really far this year. It's just, what do we see from it? And so, yeah, I get where you're coming from with that. And sorry, Andrew, I sort of interrupted you, but it's
no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they could buy someone, or they could have someone as the backup. You know, they've had other players come and be the backup there, and then go on to do good things at other teams. You know, you could have a Mac Jones. You know, where's Mac Jones next year? He could be on the Rams if the Rams push for him and say, "Look, you're the heir apparent to Stafford." Then you know you could get him next year. He's a free agent next year, I think, isn't he? So.
They're also
Mac Jones is still on the 49ers.
Yeah, he's got a year left, hasn't he? Yeah. They said they wanted to keep him.
I was like dead sure he'd get traded.
But the Rams are also an organisation that are very happy to go all in and spend picks in the same way as keep picks and draft players. So they're very happy to go either way when they need to, which is obviously a good thing to be flexible. So you just sort of think to yourself, well, if that's the case, why do this? You don't have to do this now. It just felt like it was I wouldn't say, I don't know, it's difficult because it's a quarterback, but it feels like for the talent that this quarterback is going to give you, it is a reach to go and take him at the 13th spot when you didn't need to do that. And what you could have done is you either could have just gone, we're not going to go for that now, we're going to go for something else to help us now, or you start trading back, picking up more picks, and then sort of taking him a little bit later, you know, in the back of the first round. I think they could have done either of them things. Instead, they went for the safe option, which was just to take him, and it just kind of felt a little bit off.
I think Freddie's Steelers actually did the right thing, and Drew Aller, the traits guy behind you know, that Drew Aller looks like an NFL quarterback, you know, in terms of height, weight, arm, you know, mobility, traits is everything. He just needs to improve some mechanics and some accuracy and some reading of the field. And if you can learn that, you could learn that from a Stafford, you can learn that from a Rodgers. And I love that pick for you, Fred, because I think he, out of all of them, if he can make the next step, he for me is an NFL quarterback. Whereas I think Ty Simpson's already probably at his ceiling, really. I'm not sure what there is more to come from. I think he's just a nice quarterback.
Need to get Rodgers in the building first before we do anything. Bloody hell. It's still a disaster. Lastly, you wanted to do like a round robin, Andrew. I can't remember
of steal of the draft. It can be any round, any pick.
Okay. Well, and why don't you kick us off with your steal of the draft then?
Mine is a very, very late pick, and it's for a team that I felt had an absolutely fantastic draft as well. And I think that the Raiders potentially got the steal of the draft with Jamal McCoy. They got him in the 4th round, and there's a potential he could be the cornerback one of this whole draft class, and could be potentially a top 10 cornerback in the NFL if the injuries clear up. I think that's an absolute steal, and I'm sure Adam would think the player that they picked, the other player they picked in the fourth as well, was an absolute steal at that value to pair with Genty. But yeah, I think Jerome McCoy is steal of the draft in round 4 for me.
Yeah, I just quickly, I actually think there's a few. I mean, it's difficult to get past the McCoy one. Just I get that about the injuries, but I mean, I think he'll be fine. So to get him, what was it, in the 4th round, right at the beginning,
101, the pick was.
Yeah, it's difficult to get away from that one. I think that it's difficult to get away from Caleb Downs at 11. You know, best player in the draft, arguably. I think at that level, it's hard to say that the Cowboys didn't get a steal there. Who else is there that was I mean, I would say the wide receiver Dion Burks at the Colts. To get him at the back of the 7th, that's not, you know, I mean, like I say, Daniel Jeremiah had him in, I'm sure it was around 70 that he had him out. I think that's a great steal to get, and pretty much the whole of the Colts draft, to be honest.
I was just literally about to say, my knowledge is not deep of this draft. However, looking through it, and from what you guys have told me, and from what I believe as well, and what I've heard on other platforms as well, AJ Halsey in the 3rd, where they got him there, is a massive steal. You guys said that he should be talked about as a top 5, top 3 safety, and for the Colts to get him so low down, and well, I say so low down, it was pick 14 within the 3rd round. That's 78. That's really, really great value there. I because it's my own team. Well, no, actually, no. I remember Andrew going, and I did watch a bit of him, and I saw some of the draft analysis of him. Chris Bell at the Dolphins with 94. I think that's a really, really fun one, and he's got like a really great opportunity there to be the guy.
He's got wide receiver one talent written all over him, and they don't have one.
And he's got that option. Yeah, he's got that platform to be able to do that as well, which. Like we've seen it with players like JSN, they've had to wait a minute before people move and then come into that role. Bell can be gifted that role straight away. Yes, he may not fulfill that role straight away, because I think, you know, one receiver does not make an offense. It has to be a lot of elements around it, but he's got a platform to get some like really serious good yards under his belt and good playing time under his belt to then sort of progress. So like situation for him, I think he's landed in like a really great situation for him as well.
Just quickly, Kamari Ramsey at the Texans, round 5. I think he'll do really well under DeMeco Ryans. And actually, you know, as we were saying, as you said, Fred, you know, they just do not value the safety position. Pretty much all of the safeties. This safety class this year was decent, and they still didn't get value, so they all became really good steals. So yeah, someone like Ramsey in round 5, I thought was a really good pickup by the Texans. So yeah, there was a few.
Well, thank you, Andrew and Adam, for this final edition of our draft review, I suppose, and draft season. This the quarter of the year where we get very, very excited about off-season free agency, trades. I mean, it's been trades galore this offseason, which has been a fantastic change for the NFL going forward. The draft, it's been a lot of fun. This is going to be our last episode. We're having now the summer break. We'll be back again in August. So as is tradition, and as I always like to do, really, really huge thank you for all of you who have watched and supported our YouTube channel and our social media throughout the season, from August last year in 25 right round to April 26. We really appreciate it all. Appreciate all the support we've had at events, the stuff we've been able to put out there, the invites we've had, the opportunities we've had. It's been really, really great. As ever, thank you to our team, Andrew, Adam, Gareth, Sky, Alex. You've all been phenomenal. My brother Jack, who's helped on occasions with stuff as well. it wouldn't work without all you guys, and you make the franchise tag what it is. Thank you to all your partners as well, and my partner for allowing us to do this, the time we get to do this, and just how much fun we have doing it. We are very much looking forward to everything that is going on in the 26-27 season, the opportunities that may come, and the locations we may visit as well. So until then, make sure you like and subscribe, follow us on social media, and we'll see you all again very soon. Have a great summer.